If you've ever thought that hate is sometimes more powerful than love, then you're watching the right video. As a unifying force, hate is much more effective than love. But before we begin, I'd like to confess something. I was one of those people who used to actively ignore whatever was happening around the world. I shut myself out, not because I did not care, but because I knew whatever was happening outside would break my heart. But we live in the era of social media where you cannot ignore anything. Something or the other would always slip through the veil, and it wasn't until 2025 that I completely let go of the veil altogether. It started with some random comments here and there, and I began to notice how predominant hate was on social media in different conversations and even in the way kids are brought up these days. So much hatred that I was stumped. I couldn't understand what was happening in the world. Why was it okay to hate someone or something so openly, and why was hatred so cool? I took a few months to read up on current affairs and basically everything that has been happening around the world, and turns out I was right. I was so depressed that I couldn't get out of bed for a few days. So I asked myself why hate seems so easy now, and why does it bring people together more than love? There is a concept called negativity bias in psychology, which explains that we are actually hardwired to look for negativity. The negativity bias is our cognitive tendency to absorb negative stimuli more deeply. So, when something negative happens to us, we remember it more and we engage with it more. As people, we are a result of our experiences, but we tend to remember bad experiences more than the good ones. That is why traumas stick with us even years later. If you think back to your school days, there's probably a teacher or a classmate you didn't like, and if you think harder, there must have been a negative experience that became the memory that you associate with them. Although we have had some good experiences, it's harder to remember a particular incident. The negative experiences often overshadow the positive experiences because they are much easier to recall. This is why when we journal and we have to write about three good things that happened yesterday, it takes us a while. We have to actively search for them. But if you were asked to journal about three bad things that happened to you, they would come to you instantly. Negativity bias is used even in politics. Right before elections, all the parties try to defame each other. They expose political scandals and it motivates voters to vote for the other side. The opposition reminds us of where the ruling party failed to take our attention away from the work that they have actually done. This is why the media shows us negative news to gain more viewership. Now that we understand humans have a bias towards negativity, we know that it can be effectively used to train human behavior. Now, if we look at the book 1984 by George Orwell, he describes how the state uses hate to control a certain group of people. The state presents you with a common enemy, and as long as you hate this enemy, the state benefits. They pin all the problems on this enemy, making your hate stronger, and it also relieves them of accountability. Hatred brings people together. All the state has to do is point at this enemy and put the blame on them. This enemy can be anyone: Muslims, refugees, illegal immigrants, or even another country. Humans are inherently social, and some of their personal experiences become collective experiences. So, all they need is to take certain incidents and amplify those. Slowly and steadily, keep portraying them as common enemies until a large number of people actually believe that they are the root of every problem, because Displacing blame is something we love to do. This also reminds me of Rene Girard's theory, which, very simply put, says that humans resolve conflict by blaming someone else or one particular group. It's more convenient to find a scapegoat rather than to understand the complexities of the problem and actually solve it. Let's say if a country has a high crime rate, it is simple to blame the weaker socio-economic class. Imagine being asked to identify a thief between two people, someone wealthy and well dressed, and someone from a more vulnerable background. Before we even have all the facts, our instincts often begin to lean in a certain direction. The government, and at this point, I won't even say the government, it's the system at large, always finds it convenient to pin the entire blame on a scapegoat rather than to actually solve the problem. There is another concept in psychology called the in groups and out groups. Humans who share a common interest, goals, and lifestyle find it easier to stick together. We tend to like people who are more like us than people who are not. People who are different from us form the out group. So, when you like someone, you're going to stand up for them, you are going to fight for them. If this person says that an outsider has harmed them in any way, then the people who are in this group behave as if the person has harmed all of them. It becomes personal even if it did not happen to you particularly, and it becomes very easier to direct our anger towards this particular person. This is why when a woman is discriminated against because of a gender, women from all around the world come together to protest for her because we are an in group. In this case, men are the out groups, and that is why some women treat them as enemies. This is also the time when we see women speaking in support of each other. They are unified in their hatred of the perpetrator of the crime. This is why hate is sometimes more powerful than love. That is sometimes how we make friends. Nothing brings two colleagues together faster than their shared hatred for their manager. Sometimes our friendships are based on mutual hatred of other people and other groups. It's natural, and perhaps it is nothing to be ashamed of until you cannot look beyond it. It would be insane to say I don't hate. We are human after all, and emotions like hate, rage, jealousy are just as common as emotions like love, respect, and tolerance. But when we start giving way too much importance to emotions, that is when we have to realize that something is wrong. There are many times I've had a bad impression of someone right upon meeting them, but as I got to know them, I realized I was wrong. I have acknowledged my mistake many times. If you look closely, you will realize that most of this hatred we have is engineered. The system, the state, the media, everything teaches you to hate something or someone. It is profitable for them as it keeps the people engaged while they avoid accountability and continue making money. Even the algorithm loves to rage bait. Every time you write an angry comment or start a conversation, someone else is profiting. We feel we've done our part when we express our opinion or anger towards something, but we expect someone else to take action. Social media gives us a platform to express our opinions, and the best way to get attention is to post rage bait content. Say something outrageous about the ruling party, and the people who side with the ruling party will abuse you. Someone siding with the opposition will praise you, and then they will fight each other. All this while, the person who posted will get more exposure. The algorithm will recommend the content to more and more people. So, it is always important to remember that someone is profiting off your hatred. The hatred eventually grows so strong that it starts spiraling into real life. A lot of people get threatened on the internet for their opinions, but there are cases when they start getting abused on the streets as well. I have a theory on why this happens. People are justifying this hatred and feeding into it. The system is enabling it and even rewarding it. So, when hate becomes so normalized, it alters the morality of a person. They start thinking it's okay and what they're doing is right. You can see this pattern in the way large scale conflicts are discussed nowadays. People take sides, and when they pick a particular side, they justify all its actions. And the problem is that people don't get to see the point of view of the other side. People normally have a tendency to want to learn more about the side that they are on. Even the algorithm knows it, and that is why it will show you content based on your political and social stance. Other times, when it shows you content from the opposite side, it is most likely to be rage bait content. Hate is more powerful because it's simpler. It doesn't need us to understand the complexities, and it gives us a false sense of clarity. It also gives us a false sense of unity, even if that unity is rooted in division. And in a world that sometimes feel like it's losing the patience to think deeply, it becomes easier to direct our attention towards a common enemy than to question what's really going on. But if you are someone who wants to reflect a little bit deeper, the next time you find yourself hating someone or hating a group, just ask yourself if it is your negativity bias or the negativity that you're feeling has been engineered by someone else. Thank you for being here and for watching this. If this resonated with you, you can come back next week for another conversation like this.